What if I told you that one of the most expensive luxury mansions, sitting quietly behind tall gates, was hiding something no one was prepared for? From the outside, it looked perfect. Massive white pillars, glass windows stretching from floor to ceiling, a driveway polished like a mirror. The kind of place that makes you stop your car for a second and wonder what kind of life exists behind those walls. A life of wealth, power, and perfection. But that illusion did not last long. Because the moment the doors opened, everything changed. This story starts when a high-end real estate company listed a multi-million-dollar mansion that had been abandoned for years. Nobody knew exactly why it had been left behind. No official records, no clear owner showing up to claim it. Just silence. At first, it looked like a dream opportunity. Investors were excited, content creators were curious. Urban explorers started talking about it. A place like this, untouched for years, usually means hidden treasures, or at least a story waiting to be uncovered. But what they found inside was not luxury. It was something far more disturbing. The front door itself was the first warning sign. It was not locked. It was not broken either. It was slightly open, like someone had just stepped out for a moment and never came back. Dust had settled thick on the handle, yet the hinges moved too smoothly, almost as if they had been used recently. That uneasy feeling started right there. Still, curiosity always wins. As the door creaked open, the first thing that hit them was the smell. Not just dust, not just mold, something heavier, a mix of decay, chemicals, and time. The kind of smell that makes your body react before your brain understands it. You would expect a luxury mansion to have marble floors shining like glass. Instead, the floor was covered in a thick layer of grime. Footprints were scattered everywhere, not just old ones. Some looked recent. That was impossible, or at least, it should have been. The living room was massive. Chandeliers still hung from the ceiling, but they were covered in dirt and cobwebs. Expensive furniture was still there, but it was not arranged like a home. It looked disturbed. Sofas turned at strange angles. Tables flipped over. Cushions torn open, as if someone had searched through them desperately. And then something even stranger appeared. On one wall, there were markings, not random scratches, not damage from time, symbols, drawn with something dark. It did not look like paint. That was the moment things stopped feeling like a simple abandoned property, and started feeling like something else entirely. Now here is where it gets even more unsettling. As they moved deeper into the mansion, they noticed something that should not exist in a place left untouched for years. Electricity, not fully functional, but some lights flickered. Weak, unstable, but alive. Who was powering this place? And more importantly, who had been here? The kitchen told another part of the story. Cabinets were open. Plates were broken on the floor. The refrigerator was still there, slightly open. When someone pushed it, it made a sound, not the sound of something dead, but something struggling to work. Inside, there was almost nothing, except a few items that looked far too recent to belong in an abandoned house. Water bottles, packaged food. Expired, but not by years. Someone had been here, and not long ago. At this point, fear started mixing with curiosity. Because now this was no longer about exploring an abandoned mansion. This was about understanding what was happening inside it. And then came the staircase, a grand staircase, curved perfectly, leading to the upper floor. The kind of architectural design you only see in homes built for the ultra-wealthy. But the steps were dirty. Scratches ran across the wood. Some steps looked chipped, like something heavy had been dragged across them. Going upstairs felt like crossing a line, because once you go up, there is no pretending you can just leave without answers. The second floor was worse. Doors were half open. Some rooms were completely empty, as if everything had been removed. Others were filled with random items that made no sense together. Old paintings stacked in corners. Boxes filled with documents. Clothes scattered everywhere. And then one room changed everything. The master bedroom. At first glance, it looked like the most preserved part of the house. The bed was still intact. Curtains hung properly. A large mirror stood against the wall. But when someone stepped closer, they noticed something chilling. The mirror was not reflecting the room properly. Not because of anything supernatural, but because it was covered in a thin layer of something, smeared unevenly across the surface. Finger marks were visible, as if someone had stood there, repeatedly touching the mirror over and over again, trying to clean it, or trying to see something through it. And right below the mirror, on the floor, there were deep scratch marks. Not random, not accidental, intentional. At this point, you might be wondering, why did no one report this earlier? Why did this mansion stay hidden for so long? Here is the truth. People did know something was wrong. Neighbors had complained about strange noises years ago. Lights turning on and off at odd hours. Shadows moving behind windows when the house was supposed to be empty. But nothing was ever proven. No one wanted to get involved with a property tied to wealth and influence, so it was ignored. Until now, back inside the mansion, things were about to get even darker. Because the basement had not been explored yet. And every old mansion has a basement. The entrance was hidden behind a door near the kitchen. It was locked. Unlike everything else in the house, this door had been secured tightly. That alone raised questions. After forcing it open, a cold wave of air rushed out. Not fresh air, not stale air, something in between. The stairs going down were narrow. The walls were unfinished. Concrete, not decorated like the rest of the house. It felt like stepping into a completely different building. And at the bottom, the truth started to reveal itself. The basement was not just storage space. It had been used. Tables were set up, equipment was scattered around. Not normal household items. Not things you would expect in a luxury home. It looked like some kind of workspace, or maybe something more secretive. There were cameras. Old ones. Wires running across the floor, a chair placed in the center of the room, facing a blank wall, and then documents, stacks of papers filled with notes, names, numbers, dates. Whoever had been here was not just living in this mansion. They were doing something organized. Something planned. Something hidden. Now pause for a second and think about this. A luxury mansion, abandoned publicly, but secretly active. Signs of recent activity. Strange markings. A basement that looks like a setup rather than a storage. What kind of operation leaves behind millions of dollars in property, but continues using it in secret? That question did not have an easy answer, and things got even worse. Because one of the explorers found a locked cabinet in the basement. Smaller than the door upstairs, but much stronger. It took time to open. When it finally did, everything changed again. Inside were recordings, video files stored on old devices, some damaged, some still working. Watching them was not easy. The footage showed people inside the mansion. Different times, different days. Some alone, some not. It was not clear what they were doing at first, but one thing was obvious. They were not supposed to be there. And they were not there by accident. This mansion had been used long after it was declared abandoned. And whoever used it did not want to be found. At this point, the story stopped being about curiosity and turned into something serious. Authorities were contacted. The property was sealed. Investigations began. But here is the part that still remains unanswered. No official explanation was ever fully released. No clear owner stepped forward. No complete story was given to the public. Just silence again. And that is what makes this even more unsettling. Because usually, mysteries get solved. This one did not. Even today, people who pass by that mansion say it still feels wrong. Like the walls are holding on to something. Like the story is not finished yet. Some say it was used for illegal activities. Others believe it was part of something bigger. Something organized at a level most people never see, but no one knows for sure. And maybe that is the most disturbing part of all. Because a place that looked like the definition of luxury turned out to be hiding something completely different beneath its surface. So the next time you see a perfect house, shining under the sunlight, looking like it belongs in a dream, ask yourself one simple question. What if it is not what it seems? What if behind those perfect walls, there is a story no one wants to tell? And what if some places are not abandoned, they are just waiting?